everybody, and welcome back to That Dog Training Show. And if this is the first time you are listening, congratulations. You're going to hear some really plain, straight-up stuff because I don't make it soft and fluffy. That's what dogs are for. So this is the show that we talk about the dogs we love and the stupid human behaviors we don't, also known as shubs. However, today we're not going to focus on the shubs so much. We're actually going to focus on something much more positive and interesting, and that is about K-9 actors and what it takes. So a lot of people approach me because I've done some training, at least teaching people how to train their dogs for TV and film and print to be K-9 actors or even kitty actors. And so a lot of people think that, hey, my dog's cute, it's very marketable, da-da-da-da, which might be a big word for them, but they say that and think that's, since my dog's cute, let's see if we can get him some movie and TV and all that stuff. Well, it's a lot more complicated than that, and nothing reminds me more than that than seeing the premiere, West Coast premiere, of a short film that I worked on as the animal wrangler and trainer along with Katrina Knudsen with 5 dogs, and it was starring Clea Duvall. It's called Shelter by R.J. Daniel Hanna, and you can actually look at their Facebook page at facebook.com with Shelter Short. So look up Shelter Short, and you can find out about the film, and we're going to talk about it here and there. So I saw it Monday night, and I would say that it was probably not a dry eye in the audience. So even I kind of teared up, which, is weird because I know exactly what's going on in the film. I was behind the scenes and in the dirt and all that stuff. So let's talk about what it takes to get a dog to be a K-9 actor. And there's quite a few things that people don't think about or realize. And the bottom line is that it takes a lot of discipline. First of all, there's service dog discipline level. I mean, your dog has to be about as good as a service dog to actually consistently work in film and TV and print. 2, they have to know dozens of behaviors. 3, they have to have the ability to rest regularly in a crate. It's a really important point. I'm going to explain all these things in detail, but I'm just giving you the outline here. 4, they have to have no or little desire to seek reward outside of the trainer. So that kind of takes away a lot of things for people. And also, the dog has to desire to learn new things or new sequences on the fly in new environments. So, and number 6, there has to be professional behavior by the owner on the set if they are on the set. So those are like the 6 major qualities that you've got to have your dog be a K-9 actor. So here's all the dirty details. When I say service dog discipline, the number one thing, I'm talking about a dog who does not eliminate except on command. In other words, your dog does not pee and poop just because they have to. They hold it no matter what until you say, okay, go, and where. And that's super, super important. We don't need a dog taking a crap on the set, on the carpet, and having it replaced. The more money you make that production lose, the worse it is for you, and that's not going to be conducive to the dog actually being able to concentrate. Your dog has to actually be able to still work even if they have to pee really badly. So, not that they actually are forced to do so on a regular basis, because my job is to make sure those dogs get regular breaks. When we are on the set of Shelter, every 20 minutes to 30 minutes we let the dogs out for a little pee as much as we could, making sure they were hydrated, make sure they got to go outside and pee if they wanted to, etc. So they're never left alone very long. I always had somebody attending them, but they were never left to just kind of sit there and between their takes and have to hold it. Likewise, every time they worked on the set, they were given breaks because they were overwhelmed with all the stimulation. So we don't need the dogs just taking a piss right in the middle of the scene. That's kind of a big no-no. Also, under the service dog discipline, they have to ignore distractions, and distractions is a huge, huge category. The dog cannot be like looking willy-nilly at everything that moves. Absolutely not. So even more so than a service dog, they can't even bother to pay attention to any extras walking past them if we don't want them to. Their focus on the trainer handler has to, be absolute. and not focus on another person that interests them or smells good or whatever. And that's extremely important. My previous dog, Cassie, when I trained, for film and TV later on in her life, she eventually got to the point where, and this is true for all all production dogs, is that she would look at me and only listen to my commands no matter what people said around her. They could say sit and down and offer her food. She would not take it. She would not look at them. She would not answer. Unless I said bond and pointed to the person I wanted her to bond. And from that point on, she would only listen to their commands, only take food from them, not even from me until I said, okay. And then she would return. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the kind of discipline it takes to actually have your dog be in film and TV. And anything less than that, you won't get very far if you do get into it. So it's a super, super disciplined, even more so than service dogs, I think, in some cases, in terms of how much focus that dog has to have, how much they have to be obedient, and exactly who to focus on, etc. It's a very, very disciplined kind of behaviors that we're looking for in the dog. The dog has to be that well trained. That's just number one. Number two, the dog has to know dozens of behaviors. Cassie knew around 60 to 70 different behaviors with alternating left and right, etc., with all the, qualifications. So if they don't have these dozens of behaviors, first of all, which they have to learn, one, two, they have to B, they have to be tested for duration, distance, and distraction. All three of those aspects. I have to be able to make sure that my dog can sit and down and stay 50 feet away with just a hand signal. And I might not even be able to see the dog. I might have to be sideways between a lighting gear and a camera and make sure I don't get in the shot by accident. So I'm not actually looking at my dog and telling my dog to do things with a hand signal with a normal face-to-face sort of response. So it requires a great deal of training for all of those levels. And one of the things that I just described is called splitting cues. You actually have to train your dog to actually do all these behaviors with duration and distance and distraction with either just a verbal cue or just a hand signal. And sometimes I haven't experienced this, but I've heard of, situations where the trainer's actually in the video room on a PA system, giving the commands to the dog who cannot see, obviously, the trainer. And the dog has to focus and do all the behaviors on cue without anyone in the room with them. So this requires a great deal of training as well. That's just number two. Number three, your dog has to have the ability to rest regularly in a crate. Here comes all the arguments about crate training, how cruel it is. Nonsense. BS. If you don't train your dog to actually be in the crate and be quiet and not fidget, we're going to ruin a bunch of takes for all the other actors who are doing their lines, their dialogue, their background sounds. There's audio being recorded on a lot of these shows almost all the time, and your dog has to be absolutely silent and relaxed in between. Furthermore, your dog's not going to last all day for that, the whole shot day. And we need them to only work for short periods of time and then rest for a while, and then work short periods of time and rest for a while. If your dog's not able to rest and go to sleep in between their jobs, then we have a problem, because the dog's going to get tired and not be able to focus and keep going. So that's not going to get you a lot of rest either. And it's not fair to the dog if they don't know how to do that. So I once read an excerpt from Charlton Heston's biography about how he was made fun of and always told new actors, look, sleep every time you do it. You're done with your scene. Go to your trailer or wherever you go and sleep, even if it's just 10 minutes. You're going to need that rest to keep going. And honestly, it's absolutely true for the dogs. They need their rest. And part of my job as an animal wrangler is to make sure that no one's disturbing the dogs, interacting with the dogs, or making them wake up. So a lot of times we have to find a spot where the dogs can go, kind of their green room, where they can be in their crate and be undisturbed by outside noises and smells, etc. So if your dog can't handle being on work and off work and on work and off work, and they're just always spazzy and cute, then they're completely useless for this kind of work. It's that disciplined. Number 4, Your dog has to have no or little desire to seek reward outside of the trainer or you. No attention seeking. No looking for eye contact. No whining. No barking. No rubbing up on people. No jumping up on people. They also have to be no desire for food scrounging. We don't need dogs on the set who are going to eat the prop food every time you say cut and release. So we don't need them stealing any toys or objects off the set, no prop stealing, and we absolutely cannot have territorial behaviors. Not over people, not over space. So you've got to have a dog that's absolutely finds all their joy in life in working for everything that they could possibly have. That's space, that's affection, that's treats. STAR, space, treats, affection. So treats is anything they put in their mouth, by the way. So we want to make sure that our dogs are like every reward comes from working for it, and they love it. So they do not seek like random scraps off the ground. And I'll explain in the short film Shelter with our star K-9, Katrina Knutson's K-9, named Ronan. She's a black pit mix, black pit lab mix. And she was to act very timid about getting French fries from the star actress Clea Duvall. If she was an untrained dog, Ronan was an untrained dog, she would just simply go for the first fries and just get more frantically excited about taking them. But because Ronan has been trained so well, mostly by Katrina, I guided her, but she did almost all the footwork really. With that kind of discipline, the dog could actually slowly, with me in the background, giving her commands to slow down and only take the food as slow, little bit at a time. And then she started getting more comfortable with the actress in the scene, and then suddenly she backs off and runs away from the fries in the hand. And then has to come back and take the fries again and be okay with putting a leash on her. That was a huge pivotal scene that if Ronan wasn't trained the way she was, then we would never have had this encouragement scene and then all of a sudden a freak out and then coming back with that kind of control. Most dogs, once they decide that it's okay to eat the fries, they would just been right all over the actress going, please give me more, please give me more. And that's not what we can do. It's not about food motivation, folks. It's about the desire to work for that food, and that's all they want to do is work for it. The food is secondary. Working for you is primary. So that's what we have to train the dogs to believe anyway, and Ronan did a fantastic job of it. That's the kind of discipline we're talking about. She had no desire to just take those fries away, and she was willing to listen to me and back off, and she did extremely well in the scene. It's like everybody, after the shot was done, everybody was just like, oh my God, that was amazing, which it was. I'm just going to toot my own horn, and Katrina's and Ronan's and everybody else's. It was an amazing scene. And now, going on to number 5, your dog's desire to learn new things or new sequences in new environments has to be primal. They've got to be adventurous. They've got to be willing to try things. And if they're not, you can't take this dog to multiple places, or when they have to change a scene or change the order of sequences, or if they just change their mind and rewrite the scene completely, then you got to be able to go with it. Even if you train this dog to do a certain sequence and enter from a certain direction, etc. If your dog's not willing to take all kinds of variations of things and be able to do it on the fly and then do consistent takes, and that's not exciting to them and interesting and fascinating, then you don't have a dog that you can take onto the set, because that's what's required. It's not, dogs have to have their own little happiness about doing this kind of work, and that's part of the work. So if your dog's not interested in focusing on new